What's up? Welcome back to the Metalhead Car Show. Filming this on 4th of July, this one's for all my American followers. Today we're going to be ranking one of the most iconic American muscle cars ever made, and that is the Dodge Charger. Dukes of Hazzard, Bullet, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, Fast and Furious, the list goes on of iconic roles this car's went in. So, let's get right into it, and from worst to best, rank every generation of Charger. Let's go. In 7th place, the 4th Gen Charger. This is definitely the most forgotten Charger, purely because there's nothing kind of relevant or interesting about it. This is the car that really just kind of kept the Charger name going, supposed to really showing the American muscle car competition what's up. So between that and the fact that it really had no interesting models, 7th Gen is going last. In 6th place, the 5th generation Charger. This one is going to be arguably the weirdest Charger on the list because, well, it's front-wheel drive first off. It's a two-door hatchback, and well, it kind of looks like this. Now you may be thinking, well, if this is just a likely Mitsubishi-made front-wheel drive hatchback, why is it going this high? Why isn't it in dead last? Honestly, because of one car. There was the Shelby Charger in like 85 to 87, and it wasn't slow. Shelby worked with a handful of the Chrysler K-Car cars and actually made them kind of quick, and the Charger's no exception. It actually did a half-decent quarter mile. I think it was in the 16s, or if I'm wrong, it was this. But it was on par with like the Mustang GT and some of the Camaros. So despite it was a turbo front-wheel drive 4-cylinder, it was actually still very quick for its time and could keep up with its competition. It's just going in 6th place purely because, well, despite I do kind of admire some of its versions, it is still a front-wheel drive hatchback, and to me that doesn't scream Dodge Charger. It's not the worst, but it's not a real one. In 5th place, the 6th Gen Charger. Now, I got to see these things come out when they were brand new, and it was this really exciting time of the new wave of the American muscle car. You had things like the Charger, the Shelbys, the GTO was coming back, there was talks of the Camaro coming back. So the fact that a Charger was here using a Hemi V8 was super cool. And it got some cool models. There's the Daytona, there's the Super B, and there was the SRT8 using a 6.1 liter Hemi V8 making 425 horsepower. And as I've said in one of my videos in the past, this is one of those cars you can actually pick up for almost nothing. They're really not expensive, and it's probably the cheapest way to get on the verge of 350 horsepower. So it's kind of cool. I believe it deserves a great place in the Dodge Charger history, but unfortunately it's just not as cool as some of the other ones, so it's going in 5th. So, honorable mention, the 1999 Dodge Charger concept car. To be completely honest, I don't know a whole lot about this car. I just remember seeing photos of it when I was first getting into cars in the early 2000s, and just thinking it was just so cool, and the fact that it used a lot of the old school Gen 2 Charger like cuts and kind of the overall shape, I thought was really interesting. But it didn't happen, so it's not officially on this list, it's just an honorable mention. In 4th place, the Gen 3 Charger. Now, this is kind of the end of the line for the cool Chargers. We still had the Hemi in 1971. But after that, all the cool engines started going away, every car got smogged out, and by the end of it, we didn't really have anything generally fast. I've always liked how these looked. They're not super crazy like some of its other competition here, but they've always had this kind of really just cool shape to it. Especially the 1971, but they're also kind of the most valuable of the Gen 3 Chargers. The 71 is also kind of this forgotten one. People love the Gen 2s so much, and due to things like, well, Dukes of Hazzard, they're becoming so hard to find, as when the 1971 car has all these cool looks. It has the same engine, it has the highway headlights, the split grille, but it doesn't quite get the same love as those ones. although still holding a pretty hefty sticker price. You might be able to get into a 1973 or 1974 to say you own a classic Charger, though. It's very cool. It had some awesome variants, but it's going in 4th place. In 3rd, the Gen 1 Charger. This has to be one of the most forgotten, kind of still powerful classic Chargers. I think these are gorgeous. I truly think they're like one of the best looking Chargers ever. They have that incredible fastback to it, and one of like the nicest interiors I've seen of a car from that era. It's a bit more subtle than the Gen 2 cars, but it's beautiful. Like, what can I say? It's a gorgeous, gorgeous car. And with that, you still got the 440s and the Hemis in there, and there's really no downsides to this. It's just not the Gen 2 cars we all love. But in 2nd place, I'm going to get some hate for this, but the Gen 2. Yes, the classic one, the heyday Charger, the legendary one, the one you can't find for sale anymore. This is where all the iconic Chargers came from. Every single one, whether it be movie or production, this was it. So if I'm giving it that kind of love, why is it still in 2nd place? Truthfully, I don't think muscle cars are aging that well, which is going to give me a lot of hate, I know. But honestly, these were so poorly thought through. You had a car that was weighed 4,000 pounds, making questionable amounts of horsepower on 205 tires, like 195 tires, and tiny little drum brakes. Like, no, these things didn't make sense. And I say a questionable amount of power because in the 1960s and 1970s, a lot of American manufacturers were actually lying about their horsepower because American insurance companies rated cars on their horsepower for how much they would cost on insurance. So all the American manufacturers were actually lying about their power, Dodge very much being no exception. Now, I've seen some people say it's indeed 425 horsepower. I've seen some people get up to 600 horsepower. I've seen a show that got one up to 820 horsepower to the flywheel. So honestly, I have no idea what these things actually make. And yes, there's more engines than just the Hemi, but let's face it, we all love the Hemi. And in 1st place, and by power of elimination, the 7th Gen. So why is the 7th Gen in 1st place? Honestly, as times went on, when I think Dodge Charger, this is what I think about. This is the Charger I'm most excited to see. This is the Charger I find to be truly the most impressive. And as much as the 426 Hemi is the legendary engine of the past, the Hellcat is the legendary engine of now. And you know what? Back in 2010, the 426 Hemi had that incredible status. Give the Hellcat 30 or 40 years, I guarantee it'll have the same status. So the 7th Gen shares a lot with the 6th Gen Charger based on the chassis and whatnot. And truthfully, because of that, I thought this is just a facelift. But turns out it's not. And I gotta say, 2011 to now, they've had 2 different body styles or 2 different facelifts in it. And I thought they were both gorgeous. Especially once you start adding SRT stuff to it and making them a bit more aggressive. So because the 7th Gen is one of the most aggressive and innovative, and I believe my generation is going to look back in 30 years and say the 7th Gen is kind of the Charger they want, I'm putting it in 1st place. But I want to know, what do you think? Do you agree with me? And if not, what's your list? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you've enjoyed what you've seen. I post on Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, and I'll see you later.